This is the scientific nap, where rest is backed by rhythm and reason. Close your eyes. The science of sleep starts now. Let your mind drift beyond the noise, into dreams designed by nature. Each moment, your body restores, your mind resets, your breath deepens. Feel safe in the knowledge that sleep is your mind's gentle medicine. Together, we drift toward rest, guided by calm and science alike. You wake without knowing what stirred you. The ceiling is the same soft white you remember. The fan still spins with its quiet stutter, and sunlight presses through the curtain in the exact way you expect. But something in your chest disagrees. A hush, a pause. The sense that the page you turned was too thin to notice the new chapter beneath it. You step outside, and the world greets you with familiar weight. The sidewalks wear their old cracks. The trees nod in a rhythm you've always known. And yet, as you walk, the feeling stays, like a thread has been pulled just slightly from the fabric of this place. No one else seems to notice. The morning moves around you in perfect order. The bakery still smells like melted butter and heat. The neighbor's dog still barks one beat too late. But your steps land too softly, as if the ground isn't quite sure you're supposed to be here at the crosswalk. A woman you've never met waves at you with the warmth of a long memory. You lift a hand back before realizing your smile feels foreign. Across the street, the bookstore window displays a novel you remember loving, only the author's name is wrong. The same title, the same cover, but written by someone who doesn't exist where you're from. You step closer, press your fingers to the glass, and feel the thrum of quiet divergence. A soft wind lifts a flyer from the sidewalk, a local event you should have attended last year. But you didn't, you couldn't, you were at a hospital. Instead, watching someone slip away, only that never happened here. You know it before you know how. There is no obituary in the newspaper box, no grief riding in the air like fog. Your feet begin to move faster. You scan the windows, the corners, the doors, looking for what's missing, and then you see it. The cafe, the one you used to visit every Sunday, back when there were still reasons to show up for breakfast, it stands untouched. The same chipped sin, the same green awning. But when you open the door, the bell chimes a note too sweet, and there they are, sitting by the window, coffee in hand. Alive, you can't move. They glance up and smile, polite, distant. They don't know you. They never lost you. You don't know what version of you they remember, or if they do, at all. A newspaper rests beside their elbow, folded neatly. The date is correct. The name on the obituary page is not. You leave before your legs understand why. The door closes behind you like a sigh. The world is not broken, only gently different. You walk past a child jumping rope with a rhythm that skips the beat you expect. You pass a dog that should bark and doesn't. The sun is just slightly to the left of where it should be. This isn't your world. It's one that almost is. You find yourself on the same park bench where you used to read, where you once cried into your sleeve, where the weight of loss had settled into the wood. But now, the bench carries no memory. It is only a bench. Light falls gently on your hands, and a question you've never asked arrives. What if grief is only a coordinate? A place on a map you no longer live in. Around you, the town goes on. The lamplights buzz faintly. The clouds gather with the same lazy urgency as always. But everything is shifted by a fraction, a decimal, a single missed decision, the kind of difference only silence can measure. You lean back and close your eyes, not to sleep, but to feel for the thread that brought you here, because there must have been a thread. Maybe it tugged at you when you woke. Maybe it was wound into the dream before the ceiling reappeared. Or maybe, and this feels more true, maybe the thread wasn't yours at all. Maybe you're not the only one drifting between versions. A bird lands nearby with no sound. Its shadow folds the grass just as you remember, then doesn't. Your breath slows. Your heartbeat begins to match something deeper, the quiet rhythm of a world almost yours, singing a song almost meant for you. And as the sun tilts west, someone across the park stands and starts walking toward you. They carry a shape you once held dear. They wear the outline of someone you used to know, but their eyes are different. Not cruel, not kind, just unburdened. You stay seated, not out of fear, but reverence. There's something sacred in watching. The echo walk free, and as they pass, close enough to touch, the wind shifts again, carrying a scent that doesn't exist in your memory. Jasmine and rain and something unnamed. You do not follow. You do not look back. You sit in the soft gravity of almost wondering how many versions of you are doing the same. And somewhere behind the clouds, a star begins to flicker, just slightly. Out of place, you move toward it without thinking, drawn not by urgency, but by something slower, quieter, like the pull of breath when the room falls still. The shimmer doesn't glow or flicker. It simply exists, calm and suspended between branches, like a memory that hasn't happened yet. The trees curve inward around it, their leaves twitching with a hush you've never heard before. At first, it looks like a patch of light, but as you get closer, the shape settles. A door, wooden, weather-worn, impossibly freestanding in the clearing. There are no hinges, no frame, no reason for it to be here. And yet, it doesn't feel out of place. It feels inevitable. The kind of thing that appears not when summoned, but when you've become quiet enough to notice. You stop a few steps away, unsure what to expect. The door doesn't ask anything of you. It doesn't hum or creak or whisper. It simply waits. Its surface is rough with age, but the handle gleams as if freshly touched. You reach for it gently, not out of courage, but because there's no reason not to. It's not fear that holds you here, it's recognition. The handle is cool beneath your fingers. When you turn it, nothing resists. The door swings inward with no sound at all, not even the suggestion of air moving. What lies beyond isn't darkness. It isn't light either. It's a kind of in-between space, like stepping through a thought. You haven't fully formed. You cross the threshold and feel the shift, not in your body, but somewhere deeper, like a string loosening inside your chest. The air here is warmer. It carries no scent, no breeze, and yet you know you're no longer in the forest. You're somewhere else, and still, somehow, inside yourself, around you, the space takes shape. Slowly, like a dream remembering how to be a dream. You're in a hallway made of nothing you can name. The floor beneath you feels soft, like the quiet weight of moss, but when you look down, it isn't there. The walls pulse faintly, not with color, but with feeling, as if your emotions are becoming architecture. You walk, not because there's a destination, but because walking feels like agreement. With each step, the hallway stretches and folds, changing shape without sound. Doors appear along the sides, all closed, all different, some carved with symbols that tug at your memory, some smooth and blank. One has a handle shaped like a teardrop. One breathes. You don't open any of them, not yet. The hallway curves until it no longer seems to curve. Time doesn't pass here, or maybe it passes sideways. You remember someone once saying that in quantum realms, particles slip through barriers not by force, but by chance, appearing where they shouldn't be, because sometimes impossibility is just a story we haven't rewritten yet. You think of that now as you reach another door. This one is different, not because of how it looks, but because of how it feels. You know this feeling, the ache of change just before it happens. The moment a goodbye still hangs in the air, unspoken, the second before a choice is made, not loudly, but fully. The door opens before you touch it. You step through and find yourself in a bedroom, yours, but not. The light through the window slants at a strange angle, and the painting on the wall, the one you always meant to hang, is already there. The room smells like lavender and old books, like safety you didn't know you'd been missing. You touch the edge of the desk and find your handwriting in a journal you never bought. It says, "I forgive you." You don't know who it's addressed to. You don't need to. Outside the window, the sky holds 3 moons. They're not beautiful in the traditional sense. They're pale and pitied and scarred, but they feel like the truth. You sit on the bed, and the mattress knows you, like it's held the shape of your weight in another version of this moment. You look down at your hands, and they shimmer slightly, as if they're still arriving. Maybe that's what this is, a space where versions of you converge, slipping through the walls that should have stopped them, not with force, not with intention, just readiness. Like a quantum particle tunneling through reality when the math is right and the silence is soft enough. You lie back and feel the ceiling breathe with you. The room doesn't ask anything. It doesn't test or explain. It simply allows. And in that, you begin to feel a version of yourself you hadn't met until now. The one who made it through, quietly, without fanfare. The one who chose the soft path when it would have been easier to go sharp. For a moment, you see yourself standing at the door you never opened in the hallway before, the one shaped like a teardrop. But this time, your hand lifts. The image fades. The feeling remains then, the sound, gentle and distant, like a bell rung in another dream. It calls, not forward or back, but inward. A reminder that you're not walking from one place to another. You're walking through layers of readiness. Each threshold less about where you are and more about who you are becoming when you arrive. You sit up again. The sky has shifted. One of the moons is gone. In its place, a single star pulses, then steadies. A new door appears in the corner of the room, soft-edged, half-glimpsed, not waiting, just present. You rise, and when you open it, there's no fear. Only gravity, not the kind that pulls you down, but the kind that holds you steady as you step into the next unknown. The voice fades, not with distance, but with completion, like the final note of a lullaby lingering in the air. You open the next door not because you choose to, but because the moment opens itself. Outside, the light is thinner, not cold, but stretched like it's been traveling a little too long and has started to forget its original color. You step out onto a street you know well, or you think you do. The sidewalk bears the crack where you once tripped, and the telephone pole still leans like it's listening. But the trees are taller than they should be, their branches bending toward each other like conspirators. Something feels off, gently, like a dream almost remembered, or a memory softly rewritten. The sky is pale grey, but not dull. There's movement in it, shapes that don't resolve into birds, shadows that don't belong to clouds. They don't frighten you, not exactly, but they do make you slower, more careful with each step, like you're walking through something that's still deciding what it wants to be. You follow the curve of the road, even though you remember it ending by the lake. It doesn't. It keeps going. Houses repeat the same porch light flickering, the same red bicycle left leaning, the same garden gnome winking at you in the same impossible way. You pass them again and again. You're looping, but it's not a circle, it's more like a spiral. With each pass, the details shift. The curtains change color. The air thickens, like dusk arriving too early. The street doesn't resist you, but it doesn't resolve either. It's unraveling quietly, and still pretending not to. You step forward. The cracks in the pavement breathe, and suddenly you remember a science teacher once describing the universe as a false floor, a vacuum so stable it seems permanent, until it isn't. Beneath it, a truer state waits. Not better, not worse, just deeper. And once a single thread is pulled, the illusion thins. Not catastrophically, not with a bang, just with a gentle shift in laws, in constants, in the way the sky decides what shape to take. That's what this feels like. A gentle fall into a truer version of something. The world hasn't broken, it's begun to blink. You keep walking further. Now, past where the map of your mind says the town should end. The air smells like iron and riverstone. You see a child's drawing taped to a fence, a sun with too many rays, and a dog with 3 eyes. You feel like you've seen it before, but not here, not like this. Then you notice the lines, not drawn, not painted, stitched. Faint seams crossing the ground, the sky, your vision. Not flaws, exactly. More like the universe is quilting itself back together in real time. You blink and the seams vanish. You blink again and the color of the sky changes mid-thought. It was lavender, now it's slate blue. The clouds shimmer with gold around the edges. A woman passes you, you smile. She smiles back, too long. Her eyes flicker for a fraction. Too many frames, like film hesitating between moments. You say, hello. She doesn't answer, but she hums something under her breath. You can't make out the tune, but it stirs something in your ribs, the echo of a choice you haven't made yet. You turn the corner that wasn't there before. The street begins folding inward, like a ribbon curling back on itself. Not sharply, softly. The buildings lean at gentle angles, defying architecture. A lamppost glows green instead of yellow. The mailboxes are numbered with letters. You don't feel lost. Just farther, you stop at a storefront with no name. Inside, the shelves are lined with jars filled with light, actual light, swirling softly like sleeping fireflies. One of them pulses as you approach. You raise a hand, and it flickers, matching your breath, then dims, then it disappears entirely. There's no fear in this place, just unfamiliarity, like the rules have changed while keeping their costumes. You're not falling out of reality, you're falling through its layers, a branching, not like a fork in the road, but like roots, deciding which direction is softer. You think of decay not as rot, but as release. The false vacuum giving way to something more honest. The structure still stands, but its scaffolding whispers. You glance down and notice your shadow is slightly behind you, like it's lagging by a second. You stop, it catches up. You keep moving. Up ahead, the street bends again. The sky above it is darker now, not storm dark, but velvet. There are stars you've never seen before, arranged in spirals and echoes, as if constellations have started listening to your thoughts. You wonder if this is still your world, or just one where your world once was. A cat watches you from a fence. Its eyes are too wide, and when it blinks with only one eye. You blink back, and it disappears. But in its place is a mirror, and in the mirror is not your face, not quite. A version of you with wind-blown hair and eyes that knows something you're just about to understand. You don't speak. The reflection doesn't either, but it nods once as if you're doing well, as if unraveling is part of the plan. You step away and the mirror becomes a puddle. The puddle becomes a stone. The stone glows briefly and fades. At last you reach a place where the street just forgets how to continue. Not an end, but a dissolution. Ahead, grass overtakes pavement in soft tendrils. The path curls into hills that aren't on any map. There's no signpost, no gate, just openness, just the hush of a universe waiting to be named. And high above you now, the sky pulses, once not violently, but like an inhale, a signal kindness. You look down at your hands, and they shimmer again, faintly like they're syncing with a new frequency. Or maybe remembering one they knew before this version of time began. The world around you is quieter now, but not still. It's listening. You don't move, but the feeling unfolds anyway, like the slow petal of a flower blooming inward. You realize there's no breeze, but your skin remembers one, a breath that never touched this version of you. And suddenly, you feel watched, not by someone, but by a memory that never got made. To your left, half hidden behind the rising mist, stands a frame, tall, thin, edged in what looks like cooled silver and rain. It has no wall to hang from, no foundation, just the mirror, alone, upright in a field of soft grass that wasn't there a moment ago. It waits the way old truths do, with patience and gravity. You walk toward it slowly, not afraid, not exactly, drawn just, expected. When you look in, it doesn't show your face, not as it is, not even as it was. The reflection breathes before you do. Her eyes meet yours like she's just woken up from a long dream, and you're the only thing she still knows for sure. Her mouth twitches, not into a smile, but something gentler. Recognition without explanation, a hello without sound. Her hair is longer than yours, just slightly. One side of it tucked back behind an ear the way you used to when you were trying not to cry in public. Her shoulders are straighter. There's weight in them, but it's been arranged, managed, turned into posture instead of burden. You tilt your head. So does she, but the timing is off. Not mirrored, remembered. This version of you, the one in the mirror, she didn't leave. She stayed. She said yes to the apology you never got. Or maybe she gave it instead. She didn't run. Or maybe she did, but came back. Whatever happened in her life, it didn't break her in the same places. It bruised, but didn't rot. You can feel the difference in her eyes, and something about that ache, that grief you didn't live, but still know pulls at you. The wind returns, but it isn't real. It's a feeling made of memory in motion. The tall grass ripples. Around the frame and in the reflection, trees rise behind her. Your grandmother's orchard, but the branches are full this time, heavy with yellow fruit that never ripened in your world. You reach out. The mirror doesn't resist. Your fingers stop just shy of the glass, and you swear it's warmer than it should be. She blinks when her eyes open again. They shimmer, you feel it then. Not just the grief, but the possibility. Not going back, not of erasing, but of being more than one thing. As if the universe didn't ask you to choose. As if it lets each version of you exist, quietly, in parallel folds, separate, but still listening. The physicist once said, reality splits like cells, constantly dividing at moments we don't notice, not with noise or rupture, but soft decisions. The late bus, the unsent message, the choice to stay silent instead of say, I love you. All of them tiny cosmic spools that unspool into whole other lives. In this mirror, you see them, brief flickers. Versions of you, not as ghost or fantasy, but as truth, layered in the folds of space-time like pressed leaves. There you are laughing in the city you never moved to. There you are with the dog you didn't adopt. There you are at a dinner table, when no one raises their voice. Each glimpse is faint, a shimmer that disappears the moment you name it, but the ache it leaves that stays. You close your eyes. You don't want to choose between them. You want to hold the knowledge gently, like a stone in your pocket that you could have, and in some ways did. When you open them again, your reflection is closer. Not physically, something deeper. Her face hasn't changed, but it feels nearer to yours, like your breath and hers are syncing, like she's rooting for you. And in that moment, a thought arrives, small, round, and whole. She misses you, too. Some part of her, in whatever thread of reality she walks, still carries the memory of you. And maybe that's what this is. Not a warning, not a vision, but a reunion. A meeting between two branches of the same root, bending toward each other again. You step back, not out of fear, but out of reverence. The mirror doesn't fade, but the reflection becomes still, quiet, not absent, just resting. A page turned, but not closed. Behind you, the grass shifts. The air tingles, like static softened by distance. You hear something, not a voice, not quite music, a hum, the kind that happens when metal sings with memory, or when two frequencies finally find each other in the dark. You don't know where the path leads next. You don't need to, because now, walking forward also means walking with. Because now, you are more than one. You sit with it quietly, the extra pulse, the soft rhythm that isn't quite yours and yet hums in time. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't even surprise you. It just is. As if it's always been there, waiting for you to notice. And the moment you do, the walls breathe. Not obviously. Not like lungs. Just a shift, a subtle exhale in the architecture of reality. The ceiling stretches a hair taller. The corners round off like sleep-softened thoughts, and the light drifts slightly cooler, like morning edging toward memory. But you haven't moved, not even a blink. It's the room that changes, not you, at least. You think that's true. You try it again, no movement, no sound, just a gaze. You look at the far wall, at the pattern of cracks in the plaster that wasn't there a moment ago. They arrange themselves into branches, or veins, or roads, depending on where your focus lands. Every time your eyes linger, the image settles, as if your seeing crystallizes it, like ice forming beneath a boot, or history, solidifying only when told. You whisper a question, not with your mouth, but with your attention. You ask the air, what are you? When I'm not watching. The room tilts, not in angle, in meaning. The chair beside you is no longer a chair. It's a music stand, or a pile of folded laundry, or a place someone once waited for someone who never arrived. Every time you let your eyes rest on it, it becomes, and every time you look away, it returns to something less. You feel it now, the strange pressure of your own gaze, not heavy, but consequential, as though looking isn't just passive, as though observation itself is a form of touch. The room is no longer a container. It is a listener. It waits for your attention like a lake waits for a skipped stone. You stand, curious. The floor holds. You turn slowly, the door behind you. You're sure it was closed, but now it's ajar, just wide enough to cast a sliver of golden shadow across the floor, like sunlight filtered through honey and smoke. You didn't hear it open. Maybe it didn't. Maybe you simply saw it differently this time. Maybe nothing here changes until you look. And maybe the act of looking makes it real. You step toward the door, or you intend to. But before your foot lifts, the sliver of light shifts, bends, and the room seems to slide. Not fast, not jarring, just enough to make you hesitate. The doorway is no longer where you thought it was. You close your eyes, breathe once, twice. When you open them, the room has settled. The door stands straight ahead, but now it's painted. Blue, a color so familiar it aches in your chest. The color of a book you once read in a hospital waiting room. The color of a dress your mother wore the last time she laughed with her whole body. You didn't ask for this, not out loud, but somehow the room knows. Each choice of focus, each glance pulls the thread of probability taut, until the weave of it, the tapestry of now, wraps itself around you like fog that learned to remember. You walk through the door. On the other side is another room, similar but not quite. The chair is on the left now, and it's a telescope. You're sure of it, sleek and tall, pointed toward a skylight that hadn't existed a blink ago. The ceiling has constellations traced in gold dust. They shift slowly as if stirred by tides you can't see. You don't dare look away. You want this version, the one where stars tell stories, the one where you might find yourself in the dark and not feel alone. But even wanting that, even holding it too tightly in your mind starts to change it. The telescope flickers, becomes a grandfather clock, then a tree branch in a jar of water. Your breath catches. It's as if certainty is too much weight for this world to bear. You wonder, if you turned your back completely, if you closed your eyes and believed hard enough in something else, would this place vanish? Would you? A sound reaches you, soft as silk dragged across glass. You turn slowly, and in the far corner, a figure waits. Not a person, not exactly. A suggestion of one, shifting like candlelight in the breeze. Its edges blur when you try to fix it in your gaze. But if you look just beside it, if you unfocus your attention, it solidifies slightly. It tilts its head. You do the same. It raises a hand, points at you, then taps its chest, right where your second heartbeat began. And in a sudden rush, not of memory, but of possibility, you know what it means. It's not just the room that moves when you don't. It's everything. The world, the selves you could be, the lives that hang suspended, waiting to collapse into form the moment you choose to see them. The universe is not a script, it's a stage, and you, by merely noticing, cue the light. You step back, not in fear, but in reverence. The figure remains, watching you watch. You wonder how many times this version of you has been chosen. How many others were almost real, but never fully observed. How many rooms unfolded around you who never walked into them, and yet, here you are. And still, the space shifts, not by force, not by will, but by the soft gravity of your awareness. You kneel, placing your palm to the floor. It's warm now, and very faintly. Beneath the grain of the wood, something begins to hum. The breath doesn't end. It lingers, expanding, not outward, but backward, as if the room has always known this moment was coming and only now lets itself exhale. Before the next thing happens, you hear it. A voice, far off and too close. Not words, not yet, but the shape of them. A sound like something already answered, like the echo of a sentence you haven't spoken. It brushes the air beside your ear, warm and weightless and still. Nothing has been said. You turn your head slowly, uncertain of what you're turning toward. There is no speaker, number, origin, just that whisper before the whisper, trembling like a memory that doesn't belong to you. You wait, but it doesn't come again. Not in the way you expect. Instead, the floor beneath your palm cools. The light in the room softens into a color that doesn't have a name. It feels like the inside of an apology, like standing in the doorway of a home that's still yours in someone else's mind. Something inside you curls inward, as if trying to become smaller than the moment, but you stay. A sound arrives, not new, but remembered. The scrape of a chair against wood, the click of a pen you used to fidget with when you couldn't speak your truth, the hollow thunk of a cup placed gently, too gently, on a table you didn't recognize was a peace offering. They happen now, here, but they already feel old, like echoes returning before the action they're meant to follow. You blink, and across the room the blue door stands ajar. Again, but this time something waits behind it. Not a presence. A pull. You walk toward it without meaning to. On the other side is a hallway you haven't seen, and yet you know each step. The worn tile underfoot, the slight leftward dip of the floor, the scent of metal and jasmine, like a season that passed. Too quickly, you take one step, then two, and it happens again. That voice, only now it's clearer. Not someone else's. Yours. It speaks, but not into the air. It speaks into the past. I'm sorry, the hallway doesn't change, but you do. Something inside you breaks and mends at once, like ice thawing in reverse from water back into a fragile lattice, crystalline and cold. You haven't said it yet, but the echo has already gone ahead and lived with its consequences. You touch the wall, it hums beneath your fingers. Not a machine, a memory. You close your eyes, the apology ripples again. But this time, it carries more than your voice. It carries a choice. One you haven't made yet. One that's already shaping you. You open your eyes, and the hallway bends. Not in architecture, in intent. The angles shift slightly, as if recalculating. As if your next steps are being redrawn around something you haven't chosen. Or maybe already have. There's a window at the end. Faint light pours in, silver and slow. You walk toward it, heart steady, like following the smell of rain on hot pavement. And as you approach, the voice returns, softer now, trailing the air like the tail of a comet. I should have stayed. Your throat tightens, because it's not just your voice anymore. It's all the versions of you who wished they had. The ones who lingered, who forgave, who risked softness and didn't get swallowed. You reach the window on the other side, a field of mirrors, not upright, not perfect shards, dozens of them, half buried in soil like forgotten truths. Some reflect the sky, some reflect faces, Some reflect nothing at all. You realize something slow and aching. These aren't broken, they're unfinished. Each one is waiting for a different moment to complete them, a decision, a look, a breath not yet taken. You kneel and reach through the glass. It doesn't resist. Your hand passes cleanly, like mist through morning light. And inside that shimmer, something flickers, a memory you don't remember having. You are standing on a bridge, laughing, turning back, staying. A dinner that wasn't ruined, a word that wasn't swallowed, a hug that wasn't refused. These aren't fantasies. They're reflections of possible causality, catching light from timelines that curve inward. Toward the weight of your attention, you pull your hand back, trembling now, not in fear, but in the gravity of it all. The future doesn't just wait, it listens, and sometimes it answers before you ask. You turn from the window. The hallway behind you is no longer straight. It spirals now, gently, impossibly, like time itself has grown tired of linearity, and the voice returns once more, smaller than breath, echoing forward from the moment you'll soon face. I forgive you. You pause, body still, not because you're afraid, but because something in that phrase unlocks a doorway you didn't realize you'd closed. You haven't said it yet, but you will. And already it's circling back to hold you in this quiet curve of time. It hums quiet as a thought before it forms, a thread tugging at the inside of you, too soft to pull, to present, to ignore. And for the first time, you wonder if it's you echoing, or if something else is answering. You place a hand just below your sternum. Stillness, then, as if in reply, a shimmer in the air, not sound, not light, but a kind of noticing. You glance up. The hallway is gone. Where it stood, a sky, not above, around, wide and velvet, yet near as skin. The stars hang like eyelids half lowered, blinking slow, thoughtful blinks, not random, not a pattern. Something stranger, recognition. You try to move, but your steps feel less like walking and more like permission. Each one opens the world slightly more. Each breath shifts the sky's rhythm, and when you think, not loudly, but barely, like a murmur behind your eyes, a cluster of clouds above you stirs, folding inward, then unfolding again like petals. Receiving your thought, the dream here is not yours alone. You kneel, unsure why. The ground beneath you pulses, not like heartbeat, but like awareness. A low, quiet presence, neither welcoming nor wary, simply awake. For a moment, it feels like being seen by something with no eyes. The air thickens, sweet and lucid. It tastes like memory, a scent like silence stretched too far. Around you, the sky shifts again, stars blinking in a rhythm that mirrors your thoughts, then disrupts them gently, as if playfully correcting a misstep in a shared song. You speak quietly, not to ask, but to see if the world listens. Is this real? And above, 3 stars blink once, then once more, in perfect sync with your next breath. You don't speak again, not with words, because you can feel it now. This isn't a place you've arrived in. It's a being you've woken up inside. The world isn't dreaming like you. It's dreaming you. The sky inhales. You feel it. Not with your body, with the part of you that aches when you hear a song you haven't heard yet, but somehow already miss, and you realize something soft and shattering. This place remembers you, not from your past, but from itself, as if it knew you would come, not because you were destined, but because it could not forget the shape you'd make inside. Its dream, you move again, and the clouds part. Beneath them, a path appears, made not of stone, but glimmering thoughts that haven't yet formed. You walk it, slowly, each step brushing against what feels like language, almost, not sentences, but intentions curled in quiet. To your left, a tree grows from nothing. You don't see it emerge one moment, it's not there. The next it simply is, fully formed and already leaning toward you. Its leaves shimmer with images, memories you haven't lived, feelings you haven't named. One leaf shows a child, reaching for something they'll never find. Another shows an old man laughing as if the world never hurt him. You reach toward a leaf. It falls before you touch it, floats down, and dissolves before it lands. Some things aren't meant to be held, only witnessed. The path curves. A new shape waits ahead. A pool, still as breathed before waking. It glows, not from within, but from attention. Your gaze feeds it. And as you near, the glow flickers. Not uncertainty, but invitation. You kneel again. The water reflects, but not just you. Behind your image, the sky, still blinking. The tree, still leaning. But also something else, something inside your reflection that is not your face. A second presence, not separate, but deeper. You place your fingers in the water. Ripples move outward, then inward, against logic, against time. You watch as the waves collapse into themselves, forming a shape that's neither liquid nor light. It rises slowly, a figure, not human, not form, just recognition made visible. It doesn't speak, but you understand. This isn't a guide. It's not here to lead. It's you, seen from the outside. Not as you are, as the world knows you. Every grief you forgot to mourn. Every joy you didn't trust. Every choice you didn't make, not because you feared it, but because you knew what it would mean to want it. You reach toward the figure. It meets you halfway. Your hand moves through it, warm and cool at once. And in that contact, the stars above blink again, once, twice, then hold dot still, waiting. You watch as it swells upward, a luminous fracture moving across the sky. Not angry, not loud, just insistent. A soft rupture in the shape of a becoming. The storm doesn't roar, it breathes. Clouds spin without touching, threads of color unwinding like a language you used to know. Teal and amber, violet laced with black, all circling a center that pulses, then splits. Something tears. You feel it in your ribs. Not pain, just a widening. The thread at your wrist snaps taut, but this time it doesn't pull. It anchors you. Don't move. You stay, because not all storms chase you. Some wait to be witnessed. A wind curls around your ankles, full of voices that haven't said their names yet. Leaves spiral upward instead of down. A flock of birds rises in complete silence, as if they, too, are holding their breath. And then the sky opens. It doesn't shatter. It buds, like something delicate pressing through the membrane of what's real. Like the first moment an idea becomes possible from the center of the storm. A ring expands outward, not fire, not water, something else. A smooth, radiant skin of space, glowing with a kind of heat that doesn't burn. You can see through it, or into it, and what you glimpse doesn't match what you've known. Forests that breathe in chords, oceans with two moons reflected in their skin, cities built from memory and moss, not dreams, not illusions, new beginnings, new physics, new rules. Something just split, and a universe is spilling out. You watch. the thread steady in your hand. You are no longer the center of this moment. You are a witness, a perimeter, and somewhere in you, something splits too. A belief, maybe, or the quiet scaffold of who you thought you'd have to be. There's a sound now, low, steady, like a drum made of sky. You realize it isn't thunder. It's time, folding in real time, a layering of instants too quick to name. The inflation of something that was never supposed to stay small. You take a step forward. The ground doesn't follow. The air bends slightly, not resisting, not allowing, just acknowledging. In front of you, a petal of that new world drifts down. It lands without sound. It isn't made of matter, it's made of chance. You kneel and place a hand on it, and your fingers slide through, not sinking, but remembering. You've touched this before, not in this life maybe, but in the space between. What almost happened and what might still. A tear stings your cheek. You didn't expect it, but some part of you was ready, because you've broken before, and you know now that breaking isn't always an end. Sometimes it's a bloom above you. The sky trembles again. The storm doesn't fade. It multiplies, spiraling out, each bud of space unfurling another path, another fold, another law. Cosmic inflation. That's what you might have called it, if you were naming this with science. But right now, it just feels like permission to grow, to be too much to exist beyond your outlines. The light stretches again, and for the briefest moment, you see it, not a storm, but a map of all the ways things could unfold. Some threads curl inward, some vanish, some collide, some loop, but one leads forward, and you are already holding it. You rise slowly. The sky above you is no longer just sky, it's a womb, and you are not just watching a universe begin, you are inside the birth. A rustle behind you, you turn. A stranger stands at the edge of the clearing, watching the same storm. Their faces are unfamiliar, their posture is not. They nod once. Not at you, at this. And you understand. They felt the tears too. You face forward again. The wind carries fragments of what could be across your path. A child's laugh, a letter never written, a landscape sculpted from mirrors and moss. But you don't reach for them. Not yet, you just walk, slowly into the part of the world where what wasn't can still find a shape. Because this storm isn't chaos. It's a seam, and you are passing through it. You don't watch it bloom, you let it. That sky, that ache, that tender crack in the ceiling of what used to hold you. You let it unfold behind you as the light fades again. Not into darkness, but into quiet. The hush arrives like snow, soft, sound-swallowing, holy. Even your footsteps forget how to echo. You can no longer tell if you're walking or simply being carried, but either way, you're weightless. And then, the color disappears. Not suddenly, not cruelly, it just drains, like breath, leaving a body that has said what it needed to say. You blink, and the storm-soft world is gone, not replaced, just paused. You're in between, two skies behind. You, too, still ahead. But here, nothing leans, nothing decides. There is no direction, only suspension. The air hums like a held note. Just below hearing, you reach forward without meaning to, and feel it. Space, stretched thin like silk between two sleeping drums, still taut. Not empty, exactly, just unfinished. There are no stars here, no wind, no voices, but somehow there is warmth. It's not around you, it's through you. Like someone once loved something here. Like two worlds touched, once, and never spoke again. But their memory left heat, and you wonder if grief can burn in silence. You take another step, and the fabric shifts. Not rippling, more like sighing. It doesn't matter to you. It remembers others. You think of all the things that only exist between other things. The pause between waves, the breath before a name, the ache that arrives after the door clicks shut. This place is that liminal hush where no world rules. You stop trying to move forward. There is no forward here, only drifting. Your arms float slightly at your sides, as if even your body knows it's not the anchor anymore. Up ahead, if up still exists, something faint glimmers. Not light, not form, just a shimmer of possibility. Like the surface of something waiting to be touched. And for a moment, you feel it. Every version of you that has ever paused before choosing. All the almost, all the not quites, you are surrounded by them. Not in space, but in residue. Because in this silence, nothing is gone. You are in the velvet between brains, the vast membrane of almost touching universes, each one carrying its own rules, its own sky, its own symphony of if. Some never know each other, some collide and birth stars, some brush once and leave behind a gravity that never lets go. You float between them, and you are not afraid, because you can feel the warmth left behind by one of those collisions. A memory folded in heat, a grief so ancient it hums in wavelengths. You let it hum through you. There are no signs here, no maps, no instructions, but somehow the silence takes shape, like a cave sculpted by sound. It begins to show you its edges. Your body glides through it, and the hush thickens in places, pockets where time once wept. And in others, it thinks, like the veil between dream and maybe. You pass through a corridor that doesn't exist. Walls made of regret, not yours. The multiverse remembers every universe that turned the other way, every version of history that blinked and missed, but this place, this space between, holds them, cradles them, lets them grieve without vanishing. You reach out and the hush shifts again. Not away, toward. A filament of warmth curls to your palm. You don't see it, you feel it, like a hand once held here, like a world once bled here, like love that didn't get to finish speaking. The thread doesn't pull you, it rests against your skin like a breath that never left, and it asks for nothing, just to be felt. You close your fingers around it, and for the first time in this in-between, you feel weight. Not in your body, in your chest. A weight that feels like truth. That grief is not absence. It is a memory with no mouth. It is warmth that no longer belongs to anything, but still chooses to stay. You turn slowly, because there is no time to rush and see behind. You a shape begin to emerge, faint, vast, curved another, B-R-A-N-E, another world not yet born. You don't know what lives there, or what it lost, but you feel it forming from the residue, from the hush, from everything the last collision left behind. And you know now that silence is not the opposite of sound. It is its root, its seed. You drift toward that forming edge, and the hush begins to lighten. Not brighten, just loosen. Your body, too, begins to remember motion, the way a river stirs before it moves. You press your palm forward into the new curvature and feel it yield like skin. A pulse, not yours, not yet, but maybe, soon, maybe. Everything is waiting to begin again. And maybe that beginning is shaped like you. You don't hear it, that first breath, but you feel it. A shift in the tension of the air, as if the silence exhales, and in doing so, becomes something else. Not sound, not movement, but a presence. It brushes past your skin like a ripple in gravity, subtle and soft, but undeniable, as if the hush itself has reached out to greet you. You hold still. You've learned by now that wonder doesn't arrive with fanfare. It comes like this, quiet, trembling at the edges, asking only that you notice, so you do, and the space before you quivers. Barely. A shimmer not of light, but of agreement, as though reality is considering itself. You step forward, and the veil stirs again, thinner now, more like breath than barrier. You raise your hand. You don't know why. There's no logic in it. Only longing, but something in you recognizes this moment before it happens, like a memory that traveled ahead of you to wait. Your fingers hover in the space where the hush becomes heat. And then something touches back, not hard, not grasping, just ... present. It doesn't come from the same direction. Not from in front of you or behind. Not from any place at all. It's as if your reach opened a door, and on the other side, someone else had already begun to reach too. The contact is brief, electric, like nerves remembering how to speak, and in that instant, the hush forgets how to be alone. Your breath catches, not from fear, but from the sudden, aching realness of it. Someone else, not a voice, not a name, just a flicker of life, in tune with yours. You both touched at the same time, not planned, not practiced, just resonance, like two strings across the dark, vibrating the same song without ever learning it. And in that single pulse of alignment, the world doesn't feel split. It feels ... whole. It lasts only a moment, maybe less. A quantum blink, and then it's gone. But the imprint stays, not on your skin, in the space inside you that still remembers how to ache. You don't chase the feeling, you just carry it like a candle behind your ribs. The veil settles again, not as a wall, but a skin between waking heartbeats, permeable, possible. You keep moving, though there is no path. The hush has changed. It isn't empty anymore. It holds echoes now, and with each step, you sense other places brushing past, not overlapping, just near, not visible, not tangible, but present, like dreams you almost remember. They shimmer briefly, a hallway full of mirrors that don't reflect, but remember. You pass through a corridor made of scent, rain on metal, smoke on wool, none of it yours. All of it is familiar, because once another version of you stood here too, or maybe not here. Maybe somewhere one breath removed. You realize this space, this trembling in between, isn't silence after all. It's coherence, the moment just before the note resolves. Not every world forgets the others. Some remember briefly a single entangled heartbeat echoed across impossible places, and when they do, they touch. You touched. The warmth returns in pulses. Now, moving through you like tides pulled by unseen moons, you feel the memory of their hand, whoever they were, wherever, not as pressure, but as presence, a resonance. And resonance, you realize, is not about being the same. It's about responding, about answering a call without knowing why your chest opens to do it. You pause where the hush folds into shadow, and for a moment you sense them again, not touching this time, just near, like breath fogging opposite. Sides of a window. You want to see them, But seeing was never the point. This was never about proof. It was about coherence. And coherence doesn't require eyes, just presence. You speak not out loud, but inside, where your voice lives before. It makes sound. You don't form words. There's no need. Meaning moves differently here. It carries in pulses, in fields, in shared frequencies. And something responds. Not in reply, in rhythm. The hush swells, not louder, but fuller. Like two notes played in harmony, heard only by the space between them. You close your eyes. You don't need them. You are surrounded now by nearly worlds, pressing close like memories you never lived. They don't ask to be touched. They ask to be felt. And you do, a library of lives, humming at the edge of your perception. One of them pulses faintly, but in time with yours, not echoing, entangled. You step again, and for a breath-long second, the hush vanishes, replaced by alignment. Every atom in you is aware of another. And though you're still alone, you're no longer isolated. You're in tune. The touch didn't need to last. The coherence remains. You breathe in. The hush returns. You breathe out. It hums with memory. And in the next step, not a doorway, not a crossing, something unfolds. Not a place, a condition. The veil becomes translucent, and through it, you don't see them, but you feel the field. Again, that thrum, that frequency. That miracle of two things vibrating the same impossibility. You place your hand against the shimmer. You don't press. You just wait. And though the touch doesn't return, the warmth deepens. Not from them, from you. You're resonating now, not just with another, with the multiverse itself. And somewhere in all that shimmer, someone else pauses, breath held hand. Half raised. Wondering if maybe, just maybe, they're not alone. You don't know what reaches for you, only that it's not yours, not quite, and not from here. It brushes your skin like static left behind by memory, then it's gone. But something's shifted deep beneath thought. The air carries a weight it didn't have before, like a world that remembered it was breakable. But didn't break. The ground under you hums faintly, not from motion, but from pause. You kneel and press your palm to it. It feels warm, but wary, like something here has exhaled, long and slow, after holding its breath for far too long. There's no sound, no quake, and yet your body knows something immense nearly happened. Once, ahead, the terrain folds and unfolds like cooled lava, textured by time, but smoothed by mercy. Every crack tells a story, and not all of them are finished. As you walk, you notice the trees lean subtly in one direction, as if pulled then released, the way trauma settles into trunks. Invisible to eyes but not to roots. You pass a stone with a fracture running clean through it. Not shattered, just split, as though it almost couldn't bear the strain of existing here. But it did. So did the mountain beyond it. So did you. There's a low plain now, pale and open like the underside of an eyelid. You pause on its edge. It feels like a scar, wide and ancient. Not a wound anymore, but a place that remembers being wounded. The air holds a hush that doesn't belong to the weather. It belongs to consequence. Above you, two moons hover, one full, the other dimmed, barely more than suggestion. They circle close, like two thoughts brushing in a mind just before forgetting. You wonder what would have happened if they had touched. You wonder what it almost did. You begin to feel it more than see it. A rift in the air, invisible but heavy, as if a past world still floats just above this one. Not quite gone. not quite here. Like when a voice lingers in your chest, even after the call ends. Your foot catches on something, just a shift in dirt. Nothing sharpened, you stumble forward slightly. A heartbeat later, a breeze moves through, sudden and strange. It carries a scent you can't place, like ash in reverse. Something that could have burned. Something that didn single quotes dr your body understands before your mind does. This place, this moment, sits on the edge of an echo. A forked reality. One where everything continued, and another where everything didn't. And somehow, this version of the world won the quietest battle by simply not losing. It's not a triumphant place. Nothing here sings of victory. But there's a kind of peace in that, like the silence left behind after a scream that never had to happen. A hush earned by inches. You begin to feel it in your bones, the old fear that something might end without warning. But more than that, the strange awe that it didn't. You press on, the land opens wider, flat like breath after crying. At its center stands a monolith, built but born. A great curved spine of stone jutting from the ground like the back of the earth itself, mid-turn. You approach, and the closer you get, the more you feel it. A timeline diverted. It pulses faintly, not with light, but with almost light. A shimmer you don't quite see, but feel, like the memory of a future that was nearly real. You touch it, and your fingers tingle with Mayans. A warm chill runs up your arm. You feel a version of yourself that didn't make it this far. The thought doesn't scare you, it softens you, makes this breath, this blink, feel wider somehow. You look at the horizon and it feels earned, as though every moment from now on is borrowed, but not in a way that demands repayment, just reverence. Above, clouds gather not in threat, but in conversation. They spiral gently, like something in the sky changed its mind. The light falls sideways now, shadowing the places that held. This isn't a world untouched by danger. It's a world that bent and didn't break. The air shifts again. You can almost hear the near miss like thunder that never struck. It runs through the branches, a rustle that makes no wind. You close your eyes, and in the darkness behind your eyelids, you see the other version of this place. Charred, fragmented, silenced, and yet this is the one you walk through. This is the one that remained. You keep moving. A soft incline leads to a ridge, where grass grows in odd swirls, as though shaped by an ancient turbulence now forgotten. You sit there for a moment, watching the horizon. It doesn't feel linear anymore. It feels folded, as if time itself had twisted to let this version pass. You lie back and let the ground hold you. You think of all the things that nearly happened but didn't, all the closings that never came, the arguments that paused just long enough to become silent instead of rupture, the falls you caught yourself during, the words you didn't say, the breath you found again. Somewhere nearby, a stone clicks softly against another. No cause, just coincidence, or maybe resonance, like a note struck in one timeline reverberating faintly into this one. You smile, almost involuntarily, not because you're happy, but because you're here, and because something larger than you almost decided otherwise. There's no conclusion, no climax. Just this, a ridge, a windless hush, and the taste of a world that swerved and steadied. And in the distance, just at the edge of knowing, something begins to bend to warn you again, not to warn, but to welcome. And somewhere ahead, a question starts to open its mouth, but it does not speak in words. It speaks in echoes of you, of others, of all the yous you have ever almost been. The air vibrates with near choices, faint as dust in a sunbeam. Each footstep forward feels like falling through a decision that was never fully made. You walk into a place that doesn't pick a shape. It stretches like a hallway, curves like a tunnel, widens like a cathedral. Its walls shimmer, half stone, half glass, and sometimes neither. The floor beneath you solidifies only when you trust it. When you doubt, it flickers. You don't know if you're dreaming, remembering, or becoming something else entirely. Above there is no ceiling, only layers. Layers of skies, or moments, or other selves stacked like translucent leaves. One carries the smell of pine and summer. Another hums with static and metal. Another still is silent, the kind of silence that follows the end of a long question. You pass under all of them. You reach a corridor filled with doors. Some swing open before you touch them. Some vanish before you knock. Behind one, a room where you once made a promise you forgot. Behind another, a garden that never bloomed. Behind a third, you see a version of yourself sitting beside a small glowing child, neither of you speaking, both of you listening. You don't open any of them. Not because you're afraid, but because you realize the doors aren't choices anymore. They're witnesses, proof that all the versions of you that wandered, wept, wondered, or walked away have arrived here, too. They are not gone. They are not parallel. They are here. A sound begins, not sharp, not melodic. A soft hum, like the vibration of strings tied too loosely to sing, yet still resonant. It doesn't pull you, it surrounds you. It's the sound of coherence after discord. You don't know how long you stand in it, but you begin to feel as if the hum isn't around you, but within you, as if your bones are remembering how to resonate with themselves. At the center of this place, you find a coin on the floor. Not tossed, not lost, just placed. Its surface reflects two faces, both yours, both still. It doesn't flip, it doesn't land. It just balances there, neither head nor tail, but an edge wide enough to stand on. You kneel beside it. You don't touch it, you just watch. Something begins to shift in the air, and you realize it's not time passing. Its timelines are collapsing, not in destruction, but in softness, like pages closing into one story, like threads weaving into one silent fabric. All the contradictions you've carried, the regrets, the almosts, the what-ifs, settle like dust on a still surface. They don't vanish, they shimmer. You walk again, and now the world doesn't resist you. It lets you pass through it, even as it passes through you. Places you've never seen appear and dissolve in your periphery. People who knew you once, or almost knew you, smile and nod from the edges of dreams. You feel no urgency to stop and speak. Somehow you already have. You come to a chamber made entirely of memory light, glowing not from a source, but from meaning. The walls pulse with fragments. A tear you didn't cry, a laugh you forgot belonged to you, a step you almost took. They aren't haunting, they are gentle. The chamber is not full of loss. It is full of kept moments, even the ones you thought you let go of, especially those. There is no throne here, no final judge or keeper, only a pool of soft liquid mirror at the chamber's center. You peer in and see no single reflection, just ripples like heartbeats. You don't see yourself. You feel yourself stretched across time, across choices, across stories. And for the first time, it doesn't feel like fragmentation. It feels like music. The pool stirs. Images rise. The staircase you once climbed that led nowhere. The cave where light folded inward. The sky that fell up. Each chapter of this journey flickers across the surface, not as past events, but as ongoing harmonies. You begin to understand nothing ever ended. Nothing ever diverged completely. All your paths have always been brushing against each other, like whispers. The collapse was never about destruction. It was always about return. And now a breath, not yours, not someone else's, but shared, moves through the chamber. The air aligns. The hum deepens. A softness like gravity without weight draws everything toward center. Not to merge, but to rest. You sit down, though no one tells you to. You close your eyes, though nothing fades. You feel everything that was, is, and almost was, as one dot. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't explain. It just is. You open your eyes to a sky that has never existed, and yet feels impossibly familiar. It curves like a question mark and blinks like a lullaby. There are no stars in it, only openings. Gateways shaped like old emotions, like unread letters, like dreams you swore you'd forgotten dot somewhere behind you. All your footsteps gather into a single echo, and somewhere ahead, something impossible begins to make sense.